Hi everyone and welcome to another video. In today's lesson, we are going to be modeling a typical UK house. So we will be going through pretty much all the basic steps that are needed to import in a CAD drawing, then start tracing on it, extruding it, and then going about and modeling all the necessary items in order to create the basic model. So let's get started. Alright, starting off, first thing that you need to make sure is you're going to customize and unit setup. Just make sure that your metric units are millimeters. Also check to see your system units are in millimeters as well. This directly reflects the units to the CAD drawings. So yeah, just make sure we are on the same units. Typical house type _CAD. I will put this CAD drawing within the description of this video for anyone to try out this tutorial. So I'm going to double click it, leave everything as it is. Just make sure you import the whole drawing as one object. This is very, very important. That's going to speed up your workflow when it comes to, like, you know, when you're actually chopping up the drawing and putting them along different elevations together. So just do that. It's going to bring in the drawing like this. First things first, make sure you select the drawing and then you create a new layer and just call it CAD. So now we know exactly where the CAD drawing is located, and just delete the other layer, the default layer that it actually came with. Just gonna maximize my perspective viewport with Alt W, select it, and that just convert it to editable spline. For the reason for doing that is if you go into default setting, you can see I'm unable to actually edit or actually subtract any of these elevations. So in order to do that, I need to right click, convert to editable spline first. As soon as I do that, I'm then able to actually select different portions of the drawing and isolate them. So in order to deattach the necessary elements, I'm just going to select the ones that I need, then detach it. Don't worry about the naming conventions for the time being. It's not necessary as long as we're doing it visually here. Just going to quickly chop up all of these. It's like so. Same goes with that and that as well. Now, you might have noticed that the pivot point stays the same even for all the detached splines as well. That's normal, but in order to make our lives a lot easier, what we can do is we can just select all of these elements, and then we can go here in the hierarchy tab, and then do an effect pivot only, and then we can just do center to object. Okay, so now all the pivots are centered to their respective splines. So now we can just disable that, just come out of it, and we can now start to align these CAD drawings the way they need to be. Make sure in the snap settings you have the vertex enabled. So in order to do that, just right click here and just make sure the vertex is enabled. And once you've done that, just go along and start rotating all of these elements. The other tip I'm going to share here is that, as you can see, my snapping is currently being locked to 5 units. So the way to do that is, for example, if I press A, I can enable the 5 unit snap. So you can easily toggle it on and off here. It's called angle snap toggle. So that's very, very helpful in order to keep everything accurate. So let's start by rotating this elevation, and the trick is to align all of these elevations that we got here to this plan here. So the first one, actually, of course, it comes as the front elevation, so we can just move it here. So we got the front elevation here, and we're going to do the same for the left elevation. So you're just gonna move it here and then rotate it 90 degrees here, 90 degrees here, and then just make sure this aligns to the edge here. Okay. The same thing goes for the right elevation as well. Just rotate it 90 degrees, 90 degrees here as well, and then just align it to the edge here. Okay, so next bit we are gonna do is we are gonna move the rear elevation 180 degrees, oops, and then 90 degrees, and then we're gonna do the same. Just gonna make sure that it aligns perfectly here. Okay, perfect. Right, so now we got the basic structure. Don't worry about the sectional elevations for the time being. We don't need them. Actually, what we can do right now is we can actually disable them. So just make sure you're working in the default layer. You don't want any new objects that you create to end up on your CAD layer naturally. So just make sure that it's set to default. And now we can just grab these two. Let's just call them section 1. Let's just call it section 2. Now we can just disable these two for the time being so that we can do the rest. The other bit you need to make sure is you can then move these drawings to roughly like the central area here. Once you've done that, then yeah, just disable section drawings for the time being so that we can actually concentrate on just the bits that are needed. Okay, so let's get started. What you need to do is hold down control and then right click and then just select the spline. Make sure snapping is enabled. You can then go into the top viewport by pressing the T key and then Z to zoom in, extend, and then you can actually disable the grid because we're not going to be using the grid for this particular portion. So in the line tool, just start tracing CAD like so. And then going to sub-object level, spline, and then so in the outline tool, just hit 328 millimeters. So that's the magic number. So once you've done that, you can then see the whole thing. We got one whole shape for the entire house, the walls. And then what you can do is you can actually put an extrude modifier on it, and then just increase the height. You don't have to be quite specific about it because we're gonna be making it more accurate. So, for example, so the next step you need to do is right click, edit poly, and go to the front viewport, disable the grid, G. And now what you can do is you can select the top bits here and just match it to the height of the fascia. Okay, now the other bit, what we can do now is can make sure that all the wall structures are in. So for example, at any moment, in order to do that operation, the other bit that you can do is you can actually select the objects that you want, then just isolate them by pressing the Alt plus Q key. So that way you can just concentrate on selected bits. So let's just finish our wall here. So I'm just gonna quickly trace this bit here, like so. Let's just put an extrude on it. 328 was the magic number. And then let's move it here. Okay, and let's do sides as well. So Alt Q, pressing Alt Q toggles out, and let's just select this area. Right click and then just trace this bit here, like so. Extrude again, 328. It remembers the last setting that we use. And now hold on shift and create a copy of it to the other area. Just align it. So now we got the basic wall structure in. You can see it's currently not attached to the main wall structure, which is fine. We'll do that once we make the holes for the windows. So let's get some window holes now. So let's just select our wall, then the actual front elevation, Alt Q, front viewport, pressing the F key, and then Z for zoom extend. And let's just start creating squares. Okay, it doesn't have to be any specific height. We just need to make sure it covers everything. Convert it to edit poly, and then Control Shift, make a copy of the element. Press OK. Make sure it aligns back here, like so. Same thing goes for the other bit as well. Actually we need to cover it all the way down. So same thing goes for here as well. Select the edges here and do a connect to add segments in between and move them around like so. Like so. Okay. Now let's just move this across here as well. Okay. Here. Here. Let's do the same for this guy as well. Actually, it's gonna be whole one area here. And let's do the same for these guys as well. So, as you can see, it's super quick to actually model these things once you know your way around it. Select the edges again, put another connect, bring it up, and bring these across as well. Again, element on the element. Oops. Let's just do this first. So, okay, perfect. So now let's just position them here, and actually we need to do the same for the back windows as well, and actually for the side door as well. Actually, let's just do the side door first. Isolate them and then go to the left viewport, which is V, and then L and Z for zoom extends all, and then you can just disable the grid for the time being. Let's just create another box here. Let's just place it here. Okay. Alt Q toggle again to go outside. Just select the bits and then Alt Q again to go back in. Back viewport. If you're gonna go to the back one, you can just do V and back view here. And then zoom extends all. Then let's just do the same for this bit as well. Just convert it to editable poly. I'm just gonna actually move it back first, so you know exactly what's happening. Let's go to the back viewport. So let's just move across here. Do the same for these guys as well. This one is the same window. So okay, right. So Alt Q again. Right. So now we got our boxes in. Let's just select all the bits that we need, then just do Alt Q again. Now, in order to create the holes, what you gotta do is you gotta go into Create tab, and then the Compound Objects, select it, Pro Boolean, and then just do start picking the bits, like so. Okay, and that's pretty much all we need to do. Pro Boolean is quite powerful tool within 3ds Max, and the good thing about it is that you can actually keep it undestructible. So for example, I selected all these boxes. I can actually go in and edit those particular boxes as well. So by just going to the modify panel, going to operands, and selecting the ones that I need, I can then just go into editable poly, and then I can just move them around. Like so. Okay, so yeah, they're quite powerful. Anyway, we won't go into that much detail for this one. All you need to do is just make sure you're in the Pro Booleans, you apply the Pro Boolean, and then just right click the whole thing and just do editable poly. Then Alt plus Q again to come out. So now we got basic wall structures here. The next thing you gotta do, just to keep everything simplified, is just attach them all together, like so. So now we just got this one main wall object. The next thing we can do is we can start adding the fascia. So this is the fascia elements. I'm just going to quickly show you what I mean. Front viewport. So that's called the fascia. The bit that comes over the wall structure under the roof, or the main part of the roof. Let's just trace it out again as usual, like so. And here, here. Okay. And now you can just go and extrude the whole thing. So right click, edit a poly, collapse it down, and then you can move it around on the right side. So you guys might be noticing one thing. There's another quick technique that I'm using is the lock selection. I've currently hooked up spacebar for the lock selection toggle. If you want, you can easily go here, the hotkey editor, and then just type lock selection. And here you can see I've got the spacebar. That's my lock selection. So it speeds up the workflow quite a bit. I don't have to, you know, I can actually, after locking a selection, I can click anywhere I want and it's going to engage that particular axis, the ones that are selected. So it just makes everything quite quick to move around. So yeah, definitely recommend it. I'll probably do another video on that bit as well, just to explain you guys how I came about it. Before we cut the whole thing, let's just do the other window as well. There are actually two ways of doing it. Either you can just trace it again, or you can just make a copy of this one, rotate it 90 degrees, isolate it, right elevation, and then just move it into place like so. Go into sub-object level into vertex mode, do the same to the vertices as well. Let's make sure it's all aligned like so. Okay, there we go. And so that's the right side. Go out from the isolation toggle. Let's just move to the front, or actually from the back. And we're just going to go to the back view like so. So come out, and now we can start cutting. So let's just select these particular elevations, isolate, right view, and just make sure we have enough room here. Maneuver. Now what we can do is we can do a quick slice here. Super helpful tool. Oh, actually, just want to make sure I get to do this right here. This actually goes here. Okay, let's just select the front bit, quick slice, and then just start cutting it like so. So as you can see, I'm cutting it, and so it's actually introducing more edges. Don't worry about them for the time being. We just need to make sure we cut the bit which is not needed. So once we've done that, we can just literally select this area here, and also make sure you zoom in and select the relevant areas as well. Okay, so you can easily toggle between the shaded mode and the wireframe mode by pressing the F3 key, as you can already know if you're following my previous lessons. So once you do that, just hit the delete key and it's going to remove those faces. Okay. Usually what happens that according to the drawings, it needs to be all flushed in. So what we can do is leave it as it is, or we can introduce it a bit further. What I usually tend to do is I usually like to flush it completely, just like this bit here. So now, the next bit we gotta do is we gotta make sure we clean up our the bits that we've done. So just select the edges and do a backspace. So that's gonna remove the edges without removing the vertices. So vertices, in order to remove the vertices, you need to go into the vertex selection as well. The same thing goes for these areas here as well. Select those. Oops, not this one. This is the edge area. Yeah, just do backspace again, and then go into vertex mode and remove these areas as well. So just to keep everything, you know, tidy and not too messy, because yeah, quick slice does mess up your edges a little bit. Same thing goes for the other side as well. Let's just remove these guys. Okay, now we're all right. If you want to go even a step further, what you can do is you can just select the edges here, these two edges, corresponding edges, and then just bridge them. That actually introduces a bridge between the two. You do the same for this area as well, bridge them. Then you can actually select a border, go into the border serve object level, and just select all of this area, and then do a cap. So yeah, these are quite useful tools that you will be using quite a bit in your modeling workflow within 3ds Max. So I'm just going to do the same here as well. Bridge, and then cap, and then you can, if you want, you can even cap this area as well. Okay, so now we got a closed area that we can work on. If you want, you can even remove this edge as well, but it's not needed. So let's just go out of the isolation mode and then just attach our fascias together. So now we got a basic structure of the house. So the next thing we will do is we will incorporate. So in the next lesson, we will look into modeling the windows, or the most efficient way of modeling the windows. And then we'll start adding more details like the roof tiles and the guttering and all that. So, right, I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye-bye.